Hello, hello. Welcome everybody trickling in as this wonderful Q&A live is happening. Coming at you live, we are going to be breaking down some deals with some awesome leaders in the top tier TC community, as well as the sub 2 community with our lovely host, Kimberly. So I will go ahead and let Kimberly introduce all of the lovely people that we have here with us, and we'll get right to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate all the Morby team. You guys do such an amazing job pulling this together. All the texts, the emails, the last minutes. Things aren't working. I'm Kimberly. I'm your Live at 5 host, and I have two sides. My real estate side, I close single family homes. I'm a private money lender, a private money partner, and I capital connect and I consult on care homes like residential assisted living and sober living. And my nursepreneur side, I'm a nurse of 22 years. I've been in healthcare for 32. I'm also an author, a keynote speaker, a podcast host, and I teach CPR and am a coach. And I have two teenage boys in a ministry here in Southwest Michigan. And I have the privilege of talking to these rock stars, Brady Bunch style. And we're going to learn about what they have done, what they're doing, and what their goals are, and all things in between. So welcome, guys, to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So this is good. This is non-scripted. It's very organic, very live. So we're going to have some fun. We're just going to talk about what you guys were doing, and we'll just like piggyback. So Caitlyn, you are partnered up with Josh, correct? Do I have that right? Or
reverse?
Reverse. Okay. Well,
Josh and Brayton.
Tell me about your deals. You guys are just going to go together. How about that?
Sure.
Awesome. So we're going to start out first and just find out what you guys were doing before you got into this crazy creative community that we call Sub 2 and Gator and Top Tier. So we're going to start with Caitlyn and her partner. What were you guys doing before you got in here? Did you have like any background in real estate, or just tell us about what you were doing and how you kind of stumbled onto the community and joined? Oh, I think she's muted.
I think you're muted.
You typically see the little mute button. Nada, no bueno. Did someone else want to start while she's figuring it out? We'll come back to Caitlyn.
I'm her partner. I can go.
Okay, there we go. We're going to go down to the partner.
I before joining Sub 2, I had read David Green's Burr book and Long Distance Investing. Mm-hmm. And just kind of combined the two concepts and just started doing that. I started during COVID when everyone said don't buy because everything's going to tank, because everything's going to shut down. But I was stubborn and decided to do it anyways. And turned out to be okay. It worked out fine.
Nice. I mean, good way to persevere, right? Someone tells you not to do it and you go the other way. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what were you doing before you got into real estate?
Consulting, doing accounting automation for government contractors, basically just taking accounting spreadsheets and automating them using code and logic and all that stuff,
All right.
Yeah.
So super operational systems, kind of analytical integration and all that good stuff that I'm not good at whatsoever.
Yeah, pretty much.
I bet you have a killer CRM though, right?
Well, see, that's the thing though. I came in thinking I was an integrator because of my day job. Okay. And so I tried it. The systems did not work out the way that I thought they should. And I was falling asleep while I was putting them together. So quickly realized that I'm a visionary. Okay.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Can you hear us, Caitlyn?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yay. Loud and clear. Good. Yay. It makes your heart go like this, like, oh my goodness, how do I fix it? Help.
I was like, what did my kids do? Oh my gosh.
Always blame it on the kids. That's why we have to go through the 9 months, right?
Yeah, exactly. So before this, and still currently, I'm a project manager in higher education. So I've done that part-time for years while my kids were really little. Mm-hmm. And my husband is the one who really has propelled me to get into real estate. And so I I watched the 4-hour Avatar Zoom with him on like double speed, and quickly realized that like operations, being a TC was an easy in for me into being in the creative real estate space. So in November, I joined Top Tier TC, and then in March, I met John, and we've been working together ever since.
Awesome. Very cool. So like are you back to school now? What state are you in?
Oh, I'm in Oregon. No, we still have 2 weeks left until the kids go back to school. So
nice. Might go back next week.
Yay. Yeah, I love my kids, and I love that they're going to go to school in a couple weeks.
Same. How about you, Jen? Are you in Oregon too, or where are you at?
No, I'm in Orlando. So my kids went back to school last week.
Oh, that's early. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Well, let's head up to these two guys. You want to start off, Josh, and tell us how you got into real estate, what you were doing before, all the cliff notes on that?
Yeah, mine's actually very similar to John's. Also read the Burr book, and started. Me and my wife bought our first condo at the start of COVID, like the second weekend, and we're like, I don't know if it's going to be a good idea, but we'll go for it anyway. And it worked out great, and it kind of led to, just being more interested in real estate and what it can do for you. And so we kind of took off from there. Got another property, turned into some furnished rentals. So we do an Airbnb, we do a midterm rental. So that's kind of what we've been doing, and then turned into Pace's group and down sub 2 from Bigger Pockets, jumped into sub 2, and now we've been kind of just developing that ever since then. Me and Brayton did a creative deal here. We've been doing some cash wholesaling as well in Northern California. So kind of trying all different things out.
Awesome. Very, very cool. So again, with you, just like John, a virus in a book, like that's all it took, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. Now, were you working a W-2 before this as well? And what were you doing in that role?
I still work in sales in the bike industry. So I've been in bike industry and action sports since I got out of college in 2013.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think when I looked at your profile, I saw Trek.
Yeah, I saw a nice speed concept in your picture. So she's riding bikes.
Yeah, I said the funny thing is that bike, that beautiful bike, I had to sell to keep my first investment property because I just bought a second house, traditionally sold creatively, but I didn't plan for a war chest. And so I needed to do some things. And so the bike had to go. But yeah, I've done 3 half Ironmen. So
awesome. Nice. Yeah. That's great.
Treks are awesome. Go Trek.
Yeah, we love riding bikes. That's why we live in Santa Cruz. Biking
nice. We need an affiliate link from Trek now, right?
I know.
Right.
Awesome. Coming over to you, Brayton. So tell us the 411 on your real estate journey, how you got into it, all the good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Kimberly. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can, loud and clear. And your background's very movie theater,
little drama.
Love it. Yeah. You're blending in because you have the black or dark.
Oh yeah. Right. I'm fading into the backdrop. Well, yeah. Good to see all you guys. Happy to hop on here. So my wife and I were partners. She's actually in Top Tier TC right now. So just to step back a sec. So yeah, she's a nurse and I'm actually a tattoo artist and I was a glass artist before that. So the last 21 years, the solopreneur, I do everything myself, make all the work, do all the tattoos, run the businesses. And it's been amazing. Wow. And we're both have decent incomes and good careers. And it was always a dream to have rentals, right. And get into real estate. Mm-hmm. And we ended up buying our first house back in 2017, did a big renovation and fast forward several years, we ended up launching our first short-term rental, joined our first mentorship and started going down the rabbit hole, ended up buying a couple more short-term rentals. One was also a sub 2. And so we're just managing our short-term rentals here in Santa Cruz, California, one here and a couple out in Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains. And as we were coming back, we were watching Bigger Pockets back then and reading all the books. And we ended up joining, a couple more mentorships, learned to raise some private money. Then we raised some private money, put that in a deal. And so kind of we've just been taking action and learning new things and then applying them in our real estate, progression. And it was shortly after we got that first sub 2, we knew we wanted to join in the sub 2 community and kind of go all in on, creative financing. So we just thought this was an amazing way to acquire properties and get into more rentals that potentially had a little more cash flow because they had better terms. And so we've kind of gone down that rabbit hole, started a wholesale business as well to kind of add some cash flow in. And now my wife's now doing the top tier TC. We're both in there, but we're just wanting to kind of have a white glove experience for our end buyers and be able to do all the TC work as well in-house and do with all of our deals, and also help other people with their deals and all that. So that's kind of where we're at.
That's amazing. Well, tell your wife from one RN to the other to thank you for serving. Is she still working then bedside as well and just kind of fitting this into her days?
Yeah, she's a charge nurse, some more like management at Kaiser. So we both work like 3-4 days a week still, and then we do real estate the other 8.
Yeah, just because you have so much time on your hands being everything else.
Yeah, so it's a little crazy, but you guys know how it is.
Yeah, right. Just managing everything. It's so funny because when you're around like a lot of high value individuals that are driven, it's just like it becomes normal. Just like, oh, you're going to bike 56 miles or 60 miles.
Yeah.
Great. You just think it's normal. And then you start to like analyze yourself like, oh, wow. But the comparison is a thief of joy, as I say. So and this is what's cool is you can get inspired. Like this guy's a tattoo artist. And I mean, you're reading books and starting, a business off of COVID. I mean, this is where the beauty happens.
Yeah. And I think, Josh, you're on vacation, aren't you, right now? Road trip?
I just got back. back.
Okay, nice.
Awesome. Where'd you get back from, Josh?
We went to Austin for a few days. It was
Okay.
very hot.
I was going to say, it's like Satan's armpits down there. I said that last week.
And it's funny, Josh, I feel like the last 2 deals you locked up, or you had stuff going on while you're trying to drive and trying to travel. And that's like the reality with real estate, I swear, is it's, 8 o'clock at night or 5 in the morning. We're West Coast, so I'll get all these texts at like 5 a.m.
Yep.
From the early birds, right? And you just don't know how things are going to go. You could be on the phone a couple hours talking to an escrow processor or an attorney or sell. Yeah, it's like that. But it's funny because usually like nurses actually do really well in those environments too, like your wife, because you're used to chaos all the time with life's mixed in. So it's just like
totally
let the 100%. Fires begin.
Right.
For sure. So let's start with you, Caitlyn. Tell us about your deal, like how you found it, what you did with it. Give us the whole backdrop on the deal that landed you here on this podcast.
Yeah. So this actually was John's deal. And I helped sort of clean it up for him. But really it was John's deal, and he's the one who brought me into it. So we were securing a lender on a property with cross collateral, which I had never done before. And months ago, I had no idea what that meant. And I worked with John on getting, the lender fully secured going above and beyond to make sure that they had all the documents they needed from title and, just as much security as we could possibly give them. So, that's pretty much it. John, is there anything you want to add about this one?
Yeah. So all the times that Pace says to do content, and no matter how dumb you feel, it can bring you opportunities. And because of the posts that I was putting out there, my social media, a friend of mine, childhood friend of mine, turned to me at a wedding and says, like, I want to get involved in real estate. I have money. I don't want to do all of the education and put all that effort into learning how to do it. So what can you do with me? And so that's just how it happened. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's just falls right into your lap. So how was so this was his first real estate deal and it was a lending deal. Tell us a little bit about it, like how you guys secured it, cross collateralized and all that good stuff.
So the first thing I wanted to find out was what he was doing with that money. And he said that it was in a CD earning 4.5% or whatever. And so I asked him, are you looking for cash flow or are you looking for long-term wealth? And he said, well, I think right now I want to be, actually I asked him, would you rather have more risk or less risk? And he said, probably less risk right now. So I said, no problem. And then I asked him I answered it before he even answered himself, but I asked, how much work do you want to do? And of course, his answer was none at all. So
None.
instead of taking his money and then applying it to the next 4 houses that we were going to buy, I just took existing properties that we had that had more than enough equity, and we just secured them against those 3 properties. So I had cash in hand so that could go to town on the other deals.
Nice. That was very creative. Love it. Awesome. And what was the payback on that? How much, like how long, and what was the percentage?
So he is in month 3 or 4. It's a 2-year term, and it is 10% annualized interest. But so I actually have a Zoom that I'm hosting tonight. So I've done a lot of things for him, where I've put together a course to learn how to do long distance real estate investing that I'm hosting tonight. It really wasn't meant to be anything more than just with him, but there's some other people joining. So I'm going to teach him how to invest long distance. And the goal is that after the 2-year period, then he feels comfortable enough. So then he takes that money that he lent me and we turn it into actual rentals for him.
Very cool. I like it. It's like a learning experience with a better return. And what a good friend to trust you for 2 years at that. I mean, that's awesome. Like, and it came to you. Like,
it came to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he and John and I had kind of just started working together, and so he was sending me these voice memos like while he was at this wedding, and he was like, I found this person and I found this person and he's going to give us this money. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, like the not so great fake it till you make it idea. We've come a long way since then, but yeah, and that's where I realized, you know, there's a difference between, you know, investors in terms of their integrity. And that's why I've continued to work with John, because he really wants to do right by his lenders and as a borrower. And I really respect that. And so, yeah, now I do more operational work for him. So eventually I'm going to get out of being his TC and be more his operator. And so we're working towards that right now. But yeah, it's been great. So.
Very cool.
She really keeps me in line for sure.
Hey, it's like the yin and the yang, you know, like, I mean, it's
totally.
a symbiotic relationship too. And people, when you feel comfortable and confident in a partnership like that, you can learn so much. We all go down those rabbit holes trying to figure out what we like. Like my LLC is top tier certified, but I hate it. Like I'll talk on the phone. I'll talk to real estate attorneys, do emails, but I did it for myself to make myself a better investor and to be able to have those conversations and like learn more. But yeah, God bless you, Caitlyn. Like I'm visionary. Like I could do integration and systems, but I'm like visionary 100%. Like you say operations, I'm like, so.
I know. And you tell me let's dream stuff. And I'm like, that's hard for me.
Isn't that cool? I mean, like neuroscience never gets old. Let's be clear there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, guys. And what about you two fellas? Tell us a little bit about the deal and everything in between. Any good, bad, ugly, happy, sad?
Yeah, me and Brayton have known each other for a little bit from the Sub2 community. We both live in Santa Cruz. And I had been in contact with an agent for a while that I met at soccer, just kind of in passing and everything. And it wasn't even an agent that I had cold called because I was mainly doing direct to agent outreach at the time, and just kind of organically hit off with this agent and became friends. And one time he led me to a cash fix and flip deal, but it didn't work out on that one. But as he was learning a little bit more about what I was doing with Sub2 and investors and creative deals, he was really interested. And so after we visited that property, he gave me a call the next day. He's like, hey, I was thinking about what you were talking about yesterday, and I wanted to bring up this listing that I have. I think it'd be a good idea to look into subject 2 for it. And so he's like, I've already talked to the seller. They're interested in it. So here's the deal. And, we looked at it. It looked like a decent deal. And, it turned out that it was a little bit more work than we expected. And they wanted more money down than we were willing to do. And so we kind of let it sit for a while. It ended up being, I think it was like on market for 6 or 7 months. by the time we got into contract, and they didn't really have any offers at that point that were in writing. So we were really the only option to get this house sold, and it was in the forest, you know, in Santa Cruz. You can go up into the mountains. There's like some, you know, windy roads, and it's not for everybody. And we just came off of 2 years of like the worst winters we've had for rain, and, you know, lots of washouts and mudslides and road closures. And so, you know, this couple just really wanted to leave this house. They only bought it 2 years before that.
Oh, wow. They're like, 2 years is enough.
Yeah, they were from, you know, over in San Jose and lived in the city and thought they would enjoy living in the forest, it sounds like, and it didn't work out. So they were ready to leave, and they didn't have any other option to sell a home. And so we were able to get some cash to them for clothes and everything. And then so I think that was probably back in January when we actually got that deal in contract. And it went back and forth 2 or 3 times from them like saying, yeah, we're interested, we want to do it, and then like, no, we don't want to do it. And a month would go by, they'd come back. So it was just kind of a long-term follow-up. And finally they wanted to do it and got in contract. And then that's kind of when Brayton came in, and I sent over to him, and then he can take the dispo part here.
Yeah. Nice. Wasn't it on market for like 150, 160 days?
Yeah, I think in total
something like that.
Quite a few months.
I remember you sending it over to me. We were kind of talking about it like I think 5 months before you even ended up getting it in contract.
Yeah. Because we looked at it because we wanted to make sure that if we got them in contract, we weren't wasting their time, see what we could. And I knew Brayton had some buyers that specifically wanted short-term rentals and everything, and it made a good option for that. And it didn't cash flow as a long-term rental either. So that's kind of why I thought that direction would be good too. They had bought the house for $50,000 over what we actually contracted for 2 years before.
Wow.
Okay. And then, you know, they had a 5.5% interest rate. So it's pretty decent compared to what you could get today for a rental property interest rate. And they still had, you know, 28 years left on the mortgage. So it worked out to be a good deal. And so, yeah, then send it over to Brayton.
And for the Bay Area too. I mean, I'm seeing more creative deals as more of us are out here doing, like from sub to doing creative structures, but you don't see a ton of them out here. Okay. And honestly, for a buyer to get into one like in Santa Cruz County, it's a little bit rare still, I would say. A really small percentage of deals are going creative. So that's pretty attractive. And it was a bit of an outlier, like Josh said, like windy mountain road, potholes, like crazy rain, like people are kind of scared to drive up there. So I've been working with a short-term rental community, and we have like a creative finance focused, we do some coaching and stuff. So we have these buyers who are kind of like short-term rental, leaning on the short-term rental side, but they're also learning the creative and how to buy and stuff. So we sent it out, and it was kind of an outlier, but one of the buyers was from San Diego. So she locked it up, I think. And it was like, I posted it, and it was like 2 minutes later, we had pretty much got a full commitment. So it was pretty cool.
Nice.
To see it go that quick. Yeah. And then she was awesome, followed through with it, and then did like a big old renovation, and it's gorgeous. And I guess it's like crushing it. It's doing super good. So super happy to hear it's going good. People are loving it. Good reviews.
Very awesome. And was that Facebook Marketplace by chance?
No, that's like a private community of investors, of short-term rental investors.
Oh, cool. Right. Your own, like, build out like little wheelhouse. I love that. That's very cool. And then you guys sound like the realtor was like on point and just diving right into homework and bringing creative to you like within a couple days. That's awesome. Now, what was it about the seller going back and forth, Brayton? Do you think, do you know the story, like why they were switching up, and like not enough pain points or not comfortable with it?
I'm not as familiar with how the negotiation went. Josh's probably the one to answer that.
Yeah. I mean, at first we started at like 80 or 90,000 down, and it was a little bit, I mean, the percentage worked out a little bit too high for what most buyers were wanting. And so just kind of felt that out with some of the people that I knew would want to buy in that area. And then, you know, I told them what we could do, and then it just didn't work out. They wanted more money because they had also done some renovations to the property to get it market ready. And so there was some payment owed to the agent, the brokerage, for those renovations and everything. And so really it was like, if they sold for the price that they had it listed for, they would have lost a lot of money doing so. And so this was a way that we could, recoup some of that loss and still get their house sold and get that payment out from under them. And so I think we ended up coming back around $35,000 down in the deal instead of 70 or 90, somewhere in that range that we were at the beginning. And so even the agent was like super cool. He removed his fee from it, so he didn't even make a commission on it. But him and I did another deal a month later, basically, and he got his full commission from it. And so it was cool to see like that come around for him and everything. So
full circle, yes. And so where did they move to? Did they go back to the city?
Yeah, I believe they did. Yeah, they went back to San Jose.
Like, forget this windy road stuff. I'm from a state shaped like a mitten, so I understand extreme weather. I'm right by Chicago, and it's windy and 4 seasons and snow and not mudslides or anything like that, but dune slides. Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool to see creative solving a lot of different issues and creating opportunities for obviously the buyer, right? And then Josh able to go and structure something that help the sellers like move, because that's kind of stressful being stuck in a spot like that for that long. And up there in the mountains, it's kind of like, I can imagine how they were feeling. They're probably ready to go.
Right. DoorDash isn't going up there, huh?
Right.
You'd be paying a good tip if they did.
Right.
Or Amazon or any other convenience that you get used to. Was anyone else like involved in the deal too? Do you guys have like in-house TCs and stuff? And
yeah, I've been using Gary Shevitz in Southern California. He's in Palm Desert, I believe, Palm Springs, somewhere in there. And he's kind of one of the original Sub 2 members from the first year that I think Pace started it. So I met him first couple of days I joined Sub 2. I met Gary, and so I've been kind of working on and off with him ever since then. And so he's been a great TC to have in California. If anyone needs a TC, and you can always reach out to either of us to get connected.
Awesome. I always say like the TCs are like the nurses' aides of the hospitals. Like they get blamed for everything. They have to argue their worth. They have to take all the calls. John's laughing, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure do.
For sure. So Caitlyn, tell me about how the creative community has changed your life. And that's going to be the same question for all you guys. Just give a quick like little one-liner of like what this community has brought to your life and just made it all that much better.
Yeah, I think for me, most of my mom friends have no interest or desire to be in real estate. And so at least joining Top Tier, I found a whole community of mostly women. There are some dudes too, but mostly women who are really driven and really want to do big things in their lives. And so I found this community, and I would not still be here without that community. So yeah.
Same. How about you, John?
I would say it kind of goes outside of real estate. With all the things that I've been exposed to and have learned just by being in this community and being part of it and going to the mastermind, I just feel like I've become more patient with my family and just having more gratitude for everything in general. And so for me, even if I don't make any more money in real estate, like, to me, that is more than enough.
Yeah, you can't put a monetary value on lessons. You just can't. Like, and some of the best things that you learn are through tough situations that you had to come together as a tribe. And so, yeah, it's been the opposite for me. It's kind of brought out my negative qualities with patience and stuff. So like, yeah, it's funny. I think business really shows you where your weaknesses are. Business, becoming a parent, and marriage, definitely. Those are 3 that will really like put you in your place and drop your ego. But yes, always having that attitude of gratitude for sure. Very, very cool. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is just opening my mind to all the opportunities there are to make money for yourself and with other people. And coming from W2 for most of my life, that's been the realm of how you make money and how you pay for your bills and things like that. And if you get let go from your W2 job, you're like, you got to find another one, or things like that. So it's just a really cool way to see how many different ways with being a TC in real estate, being a landlord, wholesaling, being an agent, all these different ways that you can make money. And then there's all these niches down in each of those ones. So there's just like endless opportunity for you to, generate income and, share that with other people.
Right. Yeah. Endless opportunities for sure. And appreciate you guys sharing the knowledge. You are welcome, Daryl. That's awesome. And that's so true. There's so many ways to make money in real estate. And sometimes you have to go down those rabbit holes. Like I always say, shiny object syndrome really isn't a problem because it leads you to what you want to do. Like when I started off nursing, I started off in renal and was doing dialysis and I hated it. I'm like, forget this. I want to be in the ICU. And then off I went, and so you don't know that though, before you start what you're going to like. So for sure. How about you, Brayton?
100%. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, the sub-2 community I'm in about 5 communities and it's definitely the most impressive. I think when I first came in, I was like, man, there's a lot of people doing a lot of really cool stuff in here. And I mean, you got to be careful not to get FOMO because there's so much going on.
So much,
man.
all
and
the
there's
time.
From brand new people to like vets, and then and also how people are teaming up and doing big stuff is inspiring and cool. So it's kind of blown my mind in that sense. And I think one of the coolest things is like learning creative finance and being able to like start a wholesale business where we focus a lot of our acquisitions on creative deals. And we're really like, honestly, if we just focus on like solving problems, like we can get deals closed. So we're not really thinking about assignments and stuff. We're just like, how can I help this person? And I have someone I'm working with now in the Bay Area that exact scenario where like, I'm really going to be able to help them. And then I'm going to help someone else buy a home. So it's like, that feels good. And there's not a lot of us out there. I mean, the percentage of us who are doing it is small still on the grand scheme of nationwide. Right. So it's cool to be in a community who's able to do that. So I think that's been like kind of fulfilling and kind of a byproduct of this whole thing, which has been super cool, and being able to supplement income and, can make a good living doing it as well, which is awesome.
Right.
But yeah, so it's been cool.
Right. Purposeful, like passion with profits. And someone's asking Nino, sorry guys, what was the name of the TC in California? I've already forgotten it.
That was Gary Shevitz. I believe it's CHEFETZ.
That's a tough
off the top of my memory. But you can also message me on Instagram at Joshua Kolbo, and I can connect you.
Awesome. Yeah. And we can drop it into the chat too towards the end. Moving down to you, John. So what are your plans next? Like, where do you see yourself going, doing, besides doing a webinar or whatever you're doing later? And did you want to drop that somewhere like at the end if you wanted people to join or ask them to join? We can do that towards the end too if you.
Yeah, I can find a link. It's really nothing formal. So if anybody's interested in how to build a team long distance, more than happy to answer any questions. But what we're really trying to do now, and we've been working on it for a couple months, is provide white glove service where we're doing the BRRRR method in Birmingham. And we have the deal flow in place. We have the teams in place, accounting in place, so that really people like my friend can just come in, not really do anything different than they already are, and get into real estate, get into rental ownership.
I love it. Well, and people need those white glove services nowadays. And sometimes you just have to pay for speed because, like Brayton was saying, he's in 5 different memberships or mentorships, and they're not all the same. They're just not every, you get spoiled when you are used to a certain caliber, then you go to the other one, you're like, wah, wah. You're like, oh, okay. Like you don't know what you don't know. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool. It sounds very exciting. And what about you, Caitlyn? You talked about being operations management with John and doing different things within the business. What are your personal and goals then with John as well?
Yeah, so my husband and I plan to dive into investing ourselves this year. He lost his W-2. He got laid off earlier this spring. And so that sort of brought our plans for the year to an abrupt halt because we were not ready for him to not have stable income.
Yeah.
But now he does again. So yay. And now we plan to start getting into investing. And I don't really know what that looks like yet. He's our dreamer. So he's like miles ahead of me in terms of like what we're going to do personally. And I'm here to help make it happen. Right. So, and then, I really enjoy working with John and plan to continue that for as long as it works for both of us. So, yeah. And
Awesome.
as soon as I can, I get to hire my own TC and I don't have to do it anymore. I'm good at it, but it doesn't mean I love it. So, that's on the horizon for me too.
Well, and you need to have that when you are hiring other people. And that's exactly what I was going to do with my other partner. And we just got busy with doing our own thing. We still do things together, but that was the vision, is to white glove, service it. So you had like all the services there, like a one-stop real estate shop. And that's a big build out, I mean, with systems and operations and team members. And the more you know it, the better you can teach it too. So it's imperative.
Exactly.
And so
I'm sure, and I'm sure John is like feeling really antsy, like it's not going fast enough. And I'm like, we got to give it time. We got to figure all the steps out. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Promise.
What's the old saying? Hire slow, fire fast. Yeah. Hire slow, fire fast. It's so true. Because when I worked when I was a director of nursing, I've done all kinds of nursing, ER, OR, ICU, you name it. And part of the hiring process, it's kind of like you have to speed date, to figure out what their bunnies are. And then, because you just don't know if someone's going to be a fit on your team, because as you guys know, the partners that you pick, it's very pivotal for what you're doing. Because if you have one negative Nancy, like I think the old saying is like, out of 3 employees, like 1 is sabotaging you, 2, they're like 80% there, and like 3, they might be like kind of, that's your best one. So it was like, oh, I can see that, especially now with all the distractions with phones and, working from home and stuff like that. So good luck to you guys. I'm sure there's so many people in our community too that will latch on and do like mentorships. And I learned that right off the bat, that people are willing just to shadow you to make sure that you are a good fit for the team. So that's another perspective too.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And what about you fellas? What are you guys going to do?
Oh, all right. I'll go first. So so my wife and I we kind of paused buying real estate this year. We've been kind of focused on building the wholesale business and wanting to build a small kind of lean team for that. And then we're going to be building our TC business. My wife will be, and then we're going to be adding in a transactional funding pillar.
Cool.
From my background in like running my small businesses, I really like to have multiple income streams. So for real estate, we're kind of focused this year and next year on building our active income streams within real estate, and then bringing in capital partners to start buying and offsetting our taxes over the next coming years. And we have a capital partner coming in. He has some pretty big tax needs. So we're going to start scaling the short-term rental portfolio. So that's exciting too, which we weren't even planning on doing, but looks like it's going to happen sooner than we thought. And that's kind of a byproduct of like all the mentorships we've done and just talking about what we've been doing and taking action. And honestly, a lot of not failed attempts, but a lot of like offers that have made on boutique motels, RV parks, short-term rentals that fell through. We got super close. We raised the money, but the deal didn't happen, and kind of just keep putting it out there. And now like it starts to happen when it's meant to. So we're just kind of going with the flow, but that's where we're at. So
that's the best right there.
Learning a ton every year.
Just let it organically happen. We have a question. What platform is everyone using? PropStream?
I use PropStream a lot.
Yeah, a lot of PropStream.
Yeah.
I mean, the hard part is there's so many different things, and you use, you use 1 or 2 things from each one, and
totally
you bounce around.
Right.
Sure.
Or you're like at the field in soccer, or you're at a wedding, right? Like,
there's so much cool software. I found this Zillow scraper the other day where I'm scraping. It's like so cool for agent outreach. Like if you just go on Google and type in weird stuff, you have no idea what you'll find, and you can implement it. And then there's your deals, that's where your deals can come from.
And AI is so powerful too. What you can do with AI is just insane for sure.
Yeah.
So many. 5 years from now, it's probably going to be looking unrecognizable. They'll probably scan your retinas and do something, right?
I don't know. Josh has been using an AI caller lately.
Yeah, there's been a challenge. Yeah, it's been cool to see that new technology come out and how we can implement it and just get leads and not have to spend time going through 1,000 cold calls yourself.
Right.
So
Totally.
that's pretty cool.
And we
Have you
had
liked
like
it?
a little VA team and it was expensive before. We had a few VAs and it was like,
Mhm.
it's costly and the calls aren't amazing. You really got to train them and work with them. So
Yeah,
I'm
true.
curious to see, I think that AI voice calling, where it'll be even in a year from now.
Yeah, agreed. Awesome. So what are your plans, Josh? Or Josh, would you like to be called Joshua or Josh? I just always
No,
tend to
I'm
go
I'm
right-
actually Josh. My IG, there's only like one other Josh Kolbo that I know
Mhm.
of, and that's on like internet, and so he's got Josh Kolbo. So I let him
Gotcha.
have that one. So I'm Joshua Kolbo, but I go by Josh. And right now, I'm focusing on getting my license so I can kind of expand that avenue here locally in Santa Cruz.
Mhm.
And then also still working on wholesaling, creative and cash deals. So yeah, I have like a deal right now in Maricopa, Arizona, actually. So if anyone's interested in something in there, you can hit me up. And yeah, kind of go in that realm. And then eventually, at the end of the year, I'm trying to take down one more property this year to, offset taxes and stuff like that. So
Very cool. Fall's approaching.
yes, fast, fast.
I know, it's crazy. So what would you guys say? We'll start with you, Caitlin, then go to John. What would you say to somebody that's on the fence, that's like seen the Zooms and they've seen lives like this and read up a little bit, but they're just on the fence of joining? What kind of advice would you give to them?
What I did before I joined is I sort of snooped on Instagram to find people who had the like top tier logo, and then I messaged them some questions. So I knew a little bit more of what I was getting into. So that was really helpful for me. And then I also just kind of had to go for it and take the risk.
Mhm.
And it's definitely paid off for me. So yeah, I would, if I were you, I would snoop a little bit and try and get a little bit of information, and then just go for it.
Due diligence, can't go wrong with that. Just a little bit of stalking.
Yeah.
How about you, John?
I would say this is my third mentorship that I've been a part of, and this is by far the best out of all of them. Just with the community and how supportive everyone is. Like 3 weeks ago, I started a podcast and just threw out a post, not thinking anybody would join, and now I have one lined up every day for the next 2 weeks, just because people are so encouraging and so supportive. And then, I mean, if you're someone that likes to learn and absorb information, the vault is, I don't know how to describe it, but there are times where I'm just watching the videos and just my mind is blown because of the things that are taught, that I just didn't know that you could do. So it's definitely the best investment I've ever made.
Very cool. So what is your podcast called?
It's the road to one. Basically, just again trying to help people like my friend get over the mindset blocks, the strategy blocks, technical blocks of getting to their first deal.
Very cool. That's very helpful. Awesome. And what about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, for me, taking the step, I never paid for anything except for a book and a year subscription to Bigger Pockets, which was like, I don't know, $300, and that was like, whoa, I'm really spending a lot of money here on this hobby thing. And so jumping into sub 2 was definitely a much bigger investment, but my wife had kind of encouraged me, like, yeah, you can spend some money on this, like you're really into it and everything. And so having her blessing on that and that we're on the same page was really like a big step to getting there. And then, making sure I took the action right away once I got in the group to make sure that it paid out. Like I think in my first deal, I made 45,000 and the mentorship was 8,000 or something at that time.
Right.
So that was, closed within 2 months. It's like, oh yeah, this is like, you can make money in this and it's worth the investment. And like John was saying, there's so much stuff in the Zoom vault that you can learn from. And if you're ever feeling like depressed, like, oh, like I shouldn't be doing real estate, like I should just do something else, you go in there and you're like, oh wow, there's there's another way that you can make money in real estate that you didn't know about, and like you forget if you're not like into it all the time. Like there's so many different ways to do stuff in real estate, especially with sub 2.
This is very true for sure. What about you, Brayton?
Yeah, I really don't know where else you would learn all this information, and you really don't know what you don't know. I mean, sitting out in the free groups and watching YouTube, you think you got everything you need. Not even close. It's like 1%. Once you get in and you deep dive into like the communities, like one like sub 2, and you get in the vault and you start watching. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of content, and then the community itself and just the networking and the connections. It's really you can't put a dollar amount on it. And it's, being surrounded by other people who are as obsessed as you are with building a real estate business in a million different ways. Cause I mean, everyone's doing a different exit strategy, different types, and it's all awesome. And there's really no right or wrong way. And I mean, I definitely wouldn't, how much would you pay to get a college education?
Yeah.
I kind of look at it that way. I mean, this is like a drop in the bucket compared to that.
Agreed.
And your return on investment is kind of infinite. I mean, it's really, so honestly, anyone serious, I'd highly recommend just dive in and go for it. You have no idea until you just do it.
Agreed. And your best investment will always be within yourself, because that's where the power lies, for sure. So is anyone else buying businesses in here? Because that's something that I started to circle down rabbit holes. I want to do that. My goal was before 2025. I don't know if it's going to happen, but anyone else, John or Josh, or business buying?
I'd explored it. I actually, in one of my local Facebook groups for where I live, I just kind of threw it out there. Is anybody interested in selling their business? And I got a couple of leads. It just acquisitions is not what I'm great at. So, but I have learned a couple of things. And I do have someone that he's a fund manager, and he just buys businesses, has been doing it for the past 4 years. So happy to connect you if you're interested.
Yes, for sure. Like anything medical. And I'm like an Amazon proof, AI proof, COVID proof, like recession proof. So to me, that's medical in the trade. So
awesome.
Yeah. You were going to say something, Brayton. Are you doing that too? Because I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you're doing everything else.
No, not right now. Not right now.
Got enough on your plate, right?
Yeah. Maybe in the future, but we'll see.
Are you still working as an artist too?
Yeah, I'm 3 days a week.
Okay, so that's a lot for everything else that you're doing. And how long have you been an artist for too?
So I kind of my whole life, but I started getting into glass blowing when I was 19.
Oh,
I had
wow.
come off like a drug addiction, got clean. Anyway, cleaned my life up, right? Started doing something positive with my energy, got into glass blowing. And then I'm very much like OCD visionary type. So once I get into something, I just go like 150% in. So I did glass blowing for like 12 years and built this awesome business. And then I got the opportunity to get into tattooing, and then I did the same thing with that. And then, but yeah, I've been making art and doing stuff for the last 21 years. And what I like about real estate is building teams and the idea of not doing all the things down the road and all these different ways to just totally different lifestyle. So that's kind of what's keeping us motivated down this path.
Amazing on getting clean. That's just so like transparent, authentic to say on a live. That's just it's something that's
no big deal, but it's just my part of my story. But it's just something I had to do. So now I stick with coffee. But
and you're channeling it into something else. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
very, very cool. All right, guys, here's your chance to like drop where people can connect with you. What's the best method or social media to connect with you? Or maybe it's an email, or you want to drop your phone number or your IG. We'll start with you, Caitlyn. Where's the best place?
Yeah, so IG is great. It's just at Caitlyn Beals.
Okay, awesome. So there in your name.
Yeah, just right there with my name. Yeah.
Perfect. How about you, John?
Yeah, same thing. Just John Chan RAI.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Joshua, yours is up there. Is there any other things to connect to, like any websites or?
No, I mean, I'm not super prevalent on websites and social media even really, but you can connect with me on Instagram there. That's probably the best way.
Okay, awesome. And how about you, Brayton?
Yeah, so at Brayton Furlong, that's my Instagram handle, or YouTube.
Very cool. Does everyone have YouTube channels too?
Nope.
I do.
Of course
We're
you
working
do,
on
John.
John's. Yeah, we're working on John's. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
John and I
Okay.
will have to link up, maybe do an episode.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Let's
Oh,
do
who's
it.
that? Hi, you're on a live.
That's my son. He's like, Mom, the person's here, so I have to go because there's somebody here to look at my house. But
Awesome.
yeah,
There you
so anyway,
go.
yeah.
That's
Thanks
your
so much,
extra
everybody.
gratitude. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And if anybody has wins out there that's watching, please email Taya. She loves all the emails at taya@pacemorby.com so you can have a spot here on the Creative Community Live podcast.
Yeah, all we want to do is be able to celebrate everybody's wins. And I feel like this is just a great opportunity for you all to come on here and talk a little bit about that, because you're literally showing people that it is possible, which is just truly so inspiring, especially Josh, with your story about literally joining the community and then covering the cost of joining the community by getting your very first deal and then some. So that's really, really awesome that you were able to do that. And speaking of being able to cover the cost of your entry into the Sub2 community, if you are watching right now and you have decided that maybe joining the Sub2 community is something that you might be interested in, we actually have a challenge coming up here very, very soon. It's called the No One Left Behind Challenge, and Pace has orchestrated this challenge in order for people coming into the community to get their first deal right off the bat. So if you want to be like Josh and just knock it right out of the park with a first deal covering your cost, that would be awesome. I will go ahead and put that in the chat for anybody who's interested in it. And then, yeah, Kimberly, any closing thoughts that you might have?
No, these guys are rock stars, and this is what it's all about, just getting to know the community and just expanding on that and sharing the wins, the ups and the downs and the all arounds, and just getting to know people. You know, like I tell people all the time, I might hop on a call, but then I end up doing something else with the person down the line. And that's what it's about, is these relationships, not just transactions.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. Somebody was making a comment earlier about the fact that they're also an RN and they use it for actual leads too. So like leads can be found anywhere.
Yeah, right. Or capital. I was going to say that to you, Brayton. Like there's some of your capital partners, your wife, with having the high W-2 earners like the doctors, teach them tax strategies like trust and different structures to offset that tax imprint.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Well, I just appreciate you all being here today and taking the time to inspire others with your own journey. So just really appreciate everybody being here. And thank you, oh my gosh, so much to Kimberly asking all of the pertinent questions, and just being a joy to be around.
Aw, thank you. You guys were awesome. Very
Thank
fun.
you for having
Thanks,
us.
you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Adios, guys.
Later.
Bye.